Hi, this is just a video to look at my Rolling Stones collection. Stones are one of my favourite bands. I've been into them for 20 or 30 years now. Well, 28 years to be exact. And I have quite a few of their albums on vinyl up till the early 80s. I have many more on CD. So let's get started. First one up is the Rolling Stones #2. I don't have their first album on vinyl, but this is the second album, the UK album. And this is, I believe, an original from 1964. The cover itself is a bit battered, and someone obviously decided to colour in the O's of the Rolling Stones there on the back. It's very nice. It's a mono edition. It actually still plays pretty good despite its age. It's quite heavy, durable vinyl. This one. Just get the sleeve out. It's on the red Decca label. And it's in pretty good nick actually for its age, the vinyl that is. It's a good album, some tracks on here. Everybody Needs Someone to Love, Down Home Girl, You Can't Catch Me, Time's on My Side, and on the B-side and second side, and things like I Can't Be Satisfied and Susie Q. All good early R&B from the Stones there. Next one I've got is Out of Our Heads, Rolling Stones. Great cover photo there. And this is another good early album. Great first track on it called She Said Yeah, real rocking R&B number. And it also features Hitchhike, which had the riff in it, which I think later turned up on Velvet Underground's first album. And also Heartstone is a classic, and I'm Free. Next one I've got is Aftermath. This is a reissue. Quite a recent reissue, which I got a couple of years ago. And this is the 1966 classic album by the Stones. I think it's probably one of the first ones to really feature, the real partnership, the songwriting partnership with Jagger, which is all the way through, less reliant on covers. So on side one, you've got Mother's Little Helper, Stupid Girl, Lady Jane, Under My Thumb, side two, High and Dry, Out of Time, It's Not Easy, all great tracks, and it's a very consistent record. That's that one. Then the next one I don't have Between the Buttons, which was the 67 album, which I do mean to get on vinyl at some point soon. I have this one, which is Flowers from 67. This is I think it was originally a US compilation, so it's made up of some singles, some tracks off Aftermath, some tracks off Between the Buttons, which is Backstreet Girl, Please Go Home. It's a good, solid compilation actually. Good. And this one, I've got no idea when it's from. It's on the red Decca label. I think it's presumably. I think it might be a German pressing. This one's got quite a lot of German on the text there. Probably from the 70s. It plays pretty good. Next up, Satanic Majesty's Request. This is the classic psychedelic album from 67. Quite a maligned album, but I think it's great. Big flowers, and it has it's not original, so it doesn't have the lenticular sleeve. This is, I think, probably a mid-70s pressing, or late 70s pressing. Great gatefold with the maze there, which was designed, I think, by Brian Jones. And this has got some classic tracks on it: Citadel, 2000 Man, She's a Rainbow, 2000 Light Years from Home, Psych classics, and I think it's a good Stones album. It's very unlike anything else that they ever did, which is why I like it, and I love that kind of music anyway. Next up, 68. This is Beggar's Banquet. This was, what a lot of people will probably say is the first really truly great Stones album from the late 60s. It's got Sympathy for the Devil, No Expectations, Street Fighting Man, Straight Out Blues, Salt of the Earth. It's a really great album that the Stones really getting back into their blues roots, a lot of acoustic guitars. This has got a great gatefold sleeve there. And this is just a pressing from the I think this up in early 80s, I think it was. It's on the Decca label there with the silver and red and blue. Sleeve. Um, Next one, 69's Let It Bleed. I was just playing this earlier, still sounds great. This again is another 80s press. It's on the same label as Beggars Banquet. This is a classic album. Of course, it's got one of the great opening tracks of all time, Give Me Shelter. It's an incredibly atmospheric rock song. You've got the Silver, Love in Vain. You can't always get what you want with a little choir that comes through. Yeah, top notch. Then I have Sticky Fingers. This is another real classic Stones record. I think this is from 1971, I think, maybe. Might be wrong. This isn't the original sleeve, doesn't have the zipper. This is just a repress from, I think, the late 80s. And this sounds absolutely amazing. This is a really great sounding bit of vinyl. And I think this was the first album to come out on the Rolling Stones Records label. The label and just the famous Lips and Tongue logo. And there's, you know, another classic album, Brown Sugar, Sway, Wild Horses, Can't Hear Me Knocking. Almost every song on this is a classic. Moonlight Miles, fantastic closing track there. Really good. Then 1972, this is Exile on Main Street. This has got a wonderful evocative sleeve, 2 records set inside, and this is probably, you know, my favourite Stones album. This is arguably one of the greatest rock albums ever. It's just a fantastic atmospheric listen all the way through, all kinds of mix of music, kind of gospel, blues, rock and roll, country and western. It's kind of all here. It's just synthesised with that classic Stones magic all the way through, and yeah, it's a true classic. Moving along, we've got Goat's Head Soup, which I think was from 1974. I'm not great on my chronology here, but I'm sure someone can point me in the right direction. This has got a strange cover with the Mick and Keith on the back there, and then the rest of the guys on the inside. This is, I think this is probably an original press from '74, I want to say. Has a little insert in there with some of the other people playing on the record, including Billy Preston there in the middle, looking incredibly macho. Yeah, it's a pretty good album, this. I mean, a lot of people, I think it suffers in comparison to some of the albums that came before. They had that real golden period from Beggars Banquet through to Exile. But this is a good album. I mean, it's got a slightly sort of hazy, druggy feel to it, which was probably no doubt, you know, influenced by what the band were up to at the time. But it's got some good tracks on it: Dancing Mr. D, Heartbreaker, Angie. It's a good solid album, and it's yeah, it's good. Next up, I've got It's Only Rock and Roll. Oh, this is 1974. I think it was probably 73. The previous one, Goat's Head. 74. It's Only Rock and Roll. Again, another solid record. Unfortunately, this copy of it I've got is pretty beat up. A lot of surface noise and cracks and pops. I'm going to upgrade this at some point. The inner sleeve there again showing the session players who play on it, including Billy Preston again. He seems to have been on a lot of the Stones stuff from this time. Cool cover as well. And this has got some good tracks on it. They're not listed on the back because I'm just trying to remember what they are. It's Only Rock and Roll, title track. If You Can't Rock Me. Fingerprint File is great. I quite like Luxury as well, which is a sort of reggae track, which some people don't like, but I think it's pretty good. Next up, Black and Blue. The gatefold. Cool picture inside. And this is the first album to feature Ronnie Wood, certainly on the cover. I don't think he plays on all the songs, but he contributes some guitar to some of it. I think there's various other session guitar players on this album, because Mick Taylor had left the band by this point. And it's a good album, I like it. I mean, Hot Stuff is a cool, funky opener. Hand of Fate's a great rocker, and actually one of my favourite Stones songs of all time is on here, which is Memory Motel, which is just a classic Stones ballad. Put that down there. Next up, Some Girls from 1978. This famous cutouts on the sleeve. This is an original. The original, I think, had various actresses on the cover who subsequently asked to be removed. This is a later press. It's a good album. It's not my favourite album by the Stones, but it's got some good stuff on here. Obviously, Miss You, the big hit. When the Whip Comes Down, respectable, Born Making Run. It's a good rocking record, and it was kind of seen at the time as a bit of a comeback for the Stones. I think they kind of pared their sound down a bit. There's less of the sort of saxophone-y type stuff on here. It's more straight ahead rock and roll, but with a bit of a dance influence down tracks like Miss You. Next up, this is Emotional Rescue, 1980. I think it's quite an underrated record. It's fairly sort of lightweight in a sense. It's quite funny. There's a lot of, I think there's an element of self-parody on this record, particularly the title track, Emotional Rescue, which is another kind of dance floor type number. But there's some good tracks on here. I mean, Send It To Me, Let Me Go, Where the Boys Go is pretty good fun. Again, it's got a rocking sound. It's a good sounding album. And then for the original studio albums, this is the final one I have on vinyl. This is Tattoo You, which is another one of my real favourites by the Stones. This came out, I think, in 1981. Yeah, 1981. It's got Start Me Up, Black Limousine, Worried About You, Tops, Heaven. Particularly love side 2, all the slow songs on it. And I think this album is a bit of a kind of mishmash of older tracks that they decided to redo. But it works really well. Great cover. And yeah, for me, this is kind of really the last classic Stones album. I think subsequent to this, they have good tracks here and there, but I don't think they've ever done a really great album statement since then. But that's my opinion at the moment. I might change my mind on that at some point and make it a bit more. Then I just got a few compilations here. This is Big Hits, High Tide and Green Grass, which I think was the first Stones compilation that came out in the 60s, I want to say. It's got a cool gatefold there with pictures of the boys. Shots of Charlie looking a bit anxious. And then there's also in here, I can find it, a little booklet thing. It's a really cool picture of Keith Richards there. It's in the studio. And then it just sort of folds out into a mini poster. It's nice. And this is a great compilation of early singles by the Stones. So it's got Satisfaction, Not Fade Away. Get Off My Cloud, Tear Go By, 9 Breakdown, Lady James. It's just a good, solid compilation. This is probably the first early Stones record I really heard properly, and yeah, I love it. It's great. And then I've got this one, which is Through the Past Darkly. This is the sequel, if you like, to the Big Hits. And this, again, is a great compilation. This is a mono copy, and it's got a hexagonal cover. That's the record from the Red Decca. This is, again, all good stuff all the way through it. Honky Tonk Women, Ruby Tuesday, Jumping Jack Flash. Some tracks off Satanic's Majesties like 2000 Light Years from Home, She's a Rainbow, We Love You, which is a fantastic song, and Dandelion. And I think Dandelion had the John and Paul from the Beatles singing backing vocals. That's the rumour anyway. It does kind of sound like them. And then finally, in terms of compilations, I've got this one from 1984, I think it was, Rolling Stones Rewind. And this is basically just a compilation of their late, well, it's going from Brown Sugar through to Undercover in the Night on here. And it sounds great. It's a really good sounding album. So that's it for the moment. I do need to get a few more Between the Buttons, getting your IRs out, some of the other live stuff. I'd like to get onto vinyl at some point as well. But anyway, great. Thank you for watching.